What's up, Crusties? Welcome back to my channel. I just finished reading The Hunger Games and I am losing my brain cells. If you follow me on social media or anything, you would know that I recently decided to read The Hunger Games. If you watch my channel, then you know that I am doing a thing where I'm reading like a lot of nostalgic books this year, or a lot of really popular books that I haven't read. And that goes in line with the book club that me and my friend Sabrina started. It is called the Nostalgia Book Club. If you haven't already followed it, go ahead and follow that page, because in April we are going to be reading Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. It's going to be my first time reading it. I'm very, very excited. And I know Percy Jackson is a super popular series. With that being said, I decided that I was going to read The Hunger Games finally. I have been bullied into reading this book for years by my sister, who is a huge fan of the Hunger Games series, and I always just thought, this series is boring, it's never going to be relevant, the world is beautiful, life is amazing. Why would I want to read a story about children who have to fight till their death? Like, make it make sense. But then, 2020 went downhill and the world started to crumble. And so I thought, this is actually a really great time for me to read the series for the first time. So I randomly picked up The Hunger Games and I started reading it. And for every single time that I said The Hunger Games was going to be a boring series, because if you don't know, I did try to read it about 5 or 6 years ago, and I DNF'd it at like page 20 because I was like, but reading this book right now, I think, was the perfect decision, because, oh my god, I was so scared the entire time I was reading this. If you don't know what the Hunger Games series is, it is a series that follows our main character, Katniss Everdeen, who has to basically enter into this horrible, horrible game called the Hunger Games, where kids from different factions or different districts come into the game. They enter this like randomizer thing, and then their names get pulled out, and they enter this game where they have to basically fight till their death. So some things happen, and Katniss ends up being one of the picks for District 12, along with Peter Mellark, who is a baker's son that also gets picked for District 12. So every single district has two people who represent them in the Hunger Games. And oh my goodness, the Hunger Games scared me. I don't know why when I was reading this book, I was honestly so terrified that I was going to wake up one morning and America was going to be separated into districts and I was going to have to be a tribute. And I was like, I have absolutely no upper body strength. I will die within the first 3 minutes. The little like honk that goes on at the end of the day is going to go on literally in the first hour for me. And they're going to be like, oh, she dead. She gone. And then everybody from my district's going to be like, not all heroes wear capes. We know that she was a peasant. And so I was reading this and I was like, oh my god, oh my god. I was honestly, kid you not, writing down notes of everything that Katniss was talking about. Like, dude, half of these plants and animals don't even exist. And I was over here like, we going downhill. Like, there's just something really, really beautiful about this series and about Suzanne Collins' writing. I just can't, I don't know what, like, how to pinpoint it. And I don't even know what this video is, because I'm just so shook. Like, my brain is still in all kinds of mush. One thing that really, really stuck out to me from the beginning of reading this book was that Suzanne Collins gives you this idea that is immediately relatable to the world now, if you think about the fact that these children who are going to be going into the Hunger Games, because I think the limit is age 18, so 18 and under, those are literal children, okay? And they are getting their names entered into, I'm just going to say, this randomizer pot, and Katniss enters her name so many times because apparently the more you enter your name, the more money you get for your family. If that doesn't literally remind you of the military, right? A lot of people join the military right out of high school or sign up for the military before graduating high school because of the money, you know, like to give their family money to support their family, because when you do join the military, a lot of times your college gets covered. You also get paid. Like, when you leave the military, you will have a lot of benefits and you'll have a lot of money and you can go to college for free. So that immediately reminded me of the military when I was thinking about the fact, like, these kids are literally putting their name in so many times. And I think Katniss said something about Gale having his name in there like 40 times. I was like, Like, they literally have to sell themselves to get money for their families. Yo, my brain was cracking. This book was written like a while ago, so for it to be so relevant still. So Katniss and Peeta get picked, and then they are immediately getting sent off into, I don't know, does the Hunger Games happen in the capital? I can't remember where the Hunger Games happens, like specifically, but they get sent off into the place where the Hunger Games is happening, and we meet characters like Haymitch, who is literally an alcoholic. There, I said it, we all know. He couldn't even stand up straight for like any of the book. So we meet Haymitch, who is Katniss and Peeta's sponsor representative. He's the one who handles them getting sponsors, them getting communication with people who are in the capital, these rich people who are watching them die. Guys, let's wrap our minds around this. There are rich people in the capital who literally sit on their TV, gluttonously eat food, and then watch these kids from starving fractions or starving districts kill each other. That's like an episode of Black Mirror. But also, tell me you don't see that low-key happening in 2020. Like, we got celebrities singing Imagine. We got celebrities clapping from their balconies. And you're telling me that a world where celebrities literally entertain themselves with poor people suffering could never exist? Stop lying. You know it could happen. You know it could happen. And I'm scared.
A lot of people will be scared here. A lot of people will be scared, and I'll name them.
Anyways, so we get into this world where Haymitch is basically like, okay, let's try and figure out like how to get you guys looking good. And he decides with Cinna, who is their designer. So Cinna is the person who is in charge of dressing them up and all of that. So there's like an interview that's going to be happening. And this part really, really got me because while Cinna is trying to figure out what they're going to wear, Katniss is talking about how people from her district are usually like literally naked, barely showing anything, because the main point of the interview that's going to be happening is for people to see the different district tributes and then to kind of find people who they think are interesting and who they want to support and aid with resources during the Hunger Games. So Cinna decides to put Katniss in the dress made of fire, basically, and that's how she gets the title of the Girl on Fire. And I thought this scene was really, really amazing because they kind of played into the idea of Katniss and Peeta being a couple. And let's not lie here. When there are reality TV shows where couples are, we all know we thirst for that. There's nothing more powerful, in my opinion, than a couple in a reality show because you're like rooting for them or you hate them. You just want to see what's going to happen. And the fact that Haymitch and Cinna and all of Katniss and Peeta's team kind of like worked together to give them that image to other people, I thought was really powerful. It was really powerful communication because I know personally, if I'm watching a TV show like Survivor or whatever, if there's any chance people are going to get a crush and be together, I start rooting for those two people. I'm like, I really hope you win because like true love needs to survive. And they really played into the psychology of people wanting true love and wanting to witness true love, which is sick. Like, so sick. But this is why I'm telling y'all, like, I so honestly believe that Suzanne Collins, genius. Her mind, her literal mind. Please, please tell me what other author you can think of that literally feels like she's predicting the future. She understands the past. She understands the present. She knows what will happen in the future. I'm scared. I am so afraid of Suzanne Collins. It's unreal. But anyway, so we get to them, you know, kind of like presenting themselves as the Girl on Fire and Peeta, who is like in love with Katniss. And oh my gosh, the interview was really funny because the whole time Katniss is like thinking she's really boring and bland. And Peeta, you know, he has this charisma, this flair that Gale just doesn't. Like, I know we barely saw Gale in this book, but I already know I'm going to be a Peeta stan. Why? Because he literally, when Katniss was thinking about the past and thinking about Peeta and how he gave her that bread and he saved her life and she basically owes him now, I was like, ooh. Like, Peeta just reminds me so much of this kind, calm, caring person, and I really, really loved that because it just seems so different from what characteristics you think somebody in the Hunger Games would need. You know, you're thinking, okay, these people need to be brutal. They need to literally kill each other, which is like, you either win or you die, basically. Like, no, there's not basically. You win or you die. And so you're thinking, Peeta is such a weakling. He literally is not going to survive longer than 10 seconds. Peeta or Chanel, same person. But when you go through the interviews and you hear Peter talking, he just sounds like somebody you want to support. And I kind of like imagine myself in the position as a Capitol member, like watching the interview, and I thought to myself, like, I know I wouldn't bet on Peter because I feel like he would die. But then again, he's like such a softie. But it's just crazy because even Katniss recognized that. She was like, I feel like Peter's acting weak because he's gonna be like that one girl who pretended like she didn't know what she was doing, and then she ended up winning and she slaughtered everyone. And so it's just like thinking about stuff like that, like people who pretend like they're weak. I honestly think that's the best strategy in a situation like the Hunger Games. You need to act like you don't know what you're doing, honey, because that's how you're gonna win. And so I was like, Peter's either a lame or he's a genius. His mind. So I was like waiting for it to play out, right? So then we get onto the actual Hunger Games starting, and I was just like, oh my god, because immediately everybody's running around like chickens. Everybody's trying to figure out how to grab resources, how to get resources, how to figure out what to do. And I was literally stressed. I was heavy breathing because I wanted Peeta to survive, but then I wanted Katniss to obviously survive. And it's really weird because I have watched the Hunger Games movie once, like years ago, and I did not like Katniss's character like at all. I thought she was very, very rude, very, very mean to Peeta. I thought she literally had no personality except being like the mean girl. But then reading the book, you just see so much more of Katniss's character, and you understand her so much more because you're like presented with, this is the reason why Katniss is like this. This is the reason why Katniss doesn't try to get close to anyone. This is the reason why she hunts. This is the reason why she has the skill. Like hearing about how she feels about her mother, like her relationship with her mother, really, really hurt me because I was like, oh my gosh. Like imagine feeling like your mother abandoned you when you needed her most, or imagine feeling like you just don't have that kind of connection. Because I honestly feel like the relationships that people have with their parents really influences how they behave with other people. So Katniss's main biggest connection is like her dad, her sister, Gail. So she doesn't really let other people in. And I kind of really saw that throughout the book because, you know, she's like very untrusting of Peeta. She's like, what's his deal? What is he why Peeta, why? Like when they had to pretend to be in love and Peter Peter Kavinsky? Peeta. And Peeta said that he was in love with Katniss. And then he was like, oh, I'm just playing though. JK. Unless, like, Katniss was like, stop playing games. You're confusing me. And that's when I was like, honey, you gone already. Like, you're going to fall in love with Peeta. I know it. I personally think that Peeta and Katniss are endgame. But don't quote me on that. I haven't seen all the movies, I don't think. So, skeet. But I want them to be endgame. Sorry to Gail, but I don't know that man. But anyway, so we get into the Hunger Games. And Katniss is like, what do I do? How do I survive? Yeet, yeet, yeet. And then she runs into Rue. I am so mad. Like, so upset. It's unreal. Ooh, child. Like, when Rue died, it hurt. Because when you're reading this book, Rue literally saves Katniss's life and teaches her about all these things that she doesn't know about, which you wouldn't even think about. You wouldn't think like a little kid would be useful, which is what Katniss had also thought about Rue. She was like, what is special about this kid? I know there's something special, but what is it? And I thought it was a really powerful message that Suzanne Collins added Rue's character into this book because Rue was a direct representation, no matter what you say, a direct representation of Katniss's sister, Prim. And I thought that really made me sad because you're like, you know Rue's gonna die, right? Like you know that Rue's probably not gonna survive because only one person can win. But it was so heartbreaking, the fact that we had to watch Rue and Katniss develop this strong friendship where they were sharing resources, keeping each other safe, sharing information, you know, being like big sis and small sis. And then Rue dies such a painful and heart-wrenching death, and Katniss covering her in flowers and making her look pretty for the cameras and just like showing Rue the love and care that she deserved really made me cry, guys. Like I was literally like, why does it have to be Rue? Why did we have to get this amazing, pure, kind, selfless character and have her die literally so gruesomely? No, I don't care if that arrow went straight through her. Like, she did not deserve that. Like, ooh, I wish she had just like died in her sleep or something. At least that would be less painful. But the fact that she had to be like and like die like that, I'm mad. I'm mad. Like, ooh, child. I don't know. I just felt like Rue was such a close character to me. And this is a weird thing that I don't know if anybody else has picked up. But I mean, obviously people probably have, but like I just picked up on it. But I really liked how Suzanne told us that Rue was black. I don't know how to explain it, but I really liked that because I don't like when I read books and the authors are like, with her dark mocha skin that looks like the color of hot chocolate, when you take it right out of the microwave or however you make hot chocolate, please don't microwave hot chocolate. Like, that's how black she was. She was so black that she was blacker than black and she was blackity black black. But Suzanne just literally presented Rue flawlessly. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for not cringily telling us that this character was black. But that was Rue, and that just made me cry. And I wanted to talk about that because I was like, little sis, no! I don't know, it's, oh, I'm too emotional about that. But anyways, let's get on to the rest of the story. So we go through Katniss literally getting burnt because of the fire that the Capitol set because they want more entertainment, right? She talks about this many times throughout the book, how the Capitol and the viewers are going to cause a lot of problems in order to find more entertainment in the show. So if they're being boring and they're just chilling and sleeping, the viewers are going to demand that some crazy things happen. For example, like the fire starting to get all the tributes closer to each other, so they would be in close proximity and they would start fighting and they would be forced to, otherwise they wouldn't survive. I really love that Katniss kind of like pulled her old thoughts and told us about it because it really makes you realize how evil human beings can be, that you want to see someone suffer in order to be entertained. Like Capital being like, they sleeping, this is boring, let's rile up some things, let's do some crazies. You know what I mean? So I just thought that that was really, really crazy and well done and still very applicable to today. When you watch reality shows, what do you want? You want drama. You're not trying to watch a reality show so you can be peacefully watching people enjoying their lives. No, you want them to suffer. And so I thought, wow. So one of the parts that I thought was really, really touching was when the guy who was from the same district as Rue ran into Katniss, and Katniss told him about how she had been the one to, decorate Rue, and Rue had basically saved her life and they were friends. He was like, I'm gonna let you go this time, but next time it's on site. And she was like, oh yes, thank you. And I thought that was really nice. It was like a way to show camaraderie even in this harsh times. I think it's really indicative of people helping each other even though you're the competition. Like if you think about now, people are literally fighting over toilet paper. But then you think about the kind of people who are like, hey, do you need a bag? Do you need a roll? Do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need that? It's like helping each other when you're the competition and you want to eliminate that person who's holding 3 toilet paper rolls and you know that you need one and they only need to get 2 maximum, but they got 3 and you're like, ma'am, hang it up. Hang it up. I don't know how else to explain that, but I thought that that really literally reminded me of toilet paper wars, which is so weird, but it is what it is. Anyway, so we get through all of that. We get through Katniss saving Peeta's life, when he was literally like burning. Was he burning? Or when his leg was nasty. And she was like, let's get to the water. Let's get to the water. And she was like dragging him. And he's like, ooh, do you want to smush? Do you want to kiss me? Do you want to be my baby? And Katniss is like, dude, I'm trying to save your life. And it was just so funny because then they kissed and she was like, yes! And I was like, yes! And everybody was like, yes! And it was just so cute. And I was just like, Gail who? Gail where? Gail how? We don't worry about Gail in this house. We only send Keeta. What's their ship name? Keeta? Katniss? Katniss doesn't sound good. Keeta? I think Keeta sounds better. So we're all out here standing Keeta. If you have 2 brain cells, you gotta stand Keeta and Katniss. I don't care about Gail. No! Anyways, so we're out here standing Keeta and Katniss. And then we find out, so before this, we had found out that the Capitol was gonna allow 2 tributes to win. And then if 2 tributes from the same district win, then that's good enough. That counts, right? But then when it was just Peeta and Katniss left, they were suddenly like,
we have changed our minds, and we now will require 1 winner.
And Katniss is like, and then Peeta's like, Katniss, just let me die. I will be the one. I'm volunteer as tribute. And Katniss is like, no, Peeta, like I just started falling in love with you. And Peeta's like, Katniss, you're stronger than I am. I'm already half dead. And I love you. I don't know if he said I love you, but basically that's what he was saying. He was like, you're amazing. Like, you deserve the whole entire world. You're mind. You're mind that amazes me. And Katniss is like, but Peeta, I owe you because you saved my life that one time with the bread. And Peeta's like, no, Katniss, you are the best person in this world. You deserve to survive. And it was just so funny to me because, I mean, it wasn't funny. Like, I wasn't like, ha, ha, ha. It was funny, like, hee, hee, hee. And I was like, what's going to happen? And then Katniss, her mind. Like, Katniss's mind, wow. Katniss was like, let's both die. They can't be happy if we both die. They're going to be mad. They won't get the entertainment they want. We can use them to do what we want. And Peeta's like, are you sure? And Katniss is like, let me get these leaves. We gonna die together, baby. And they like chew up the whatever leaves. And Katniss is like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna just put them in our mouth, but we're not really gonna eat them because we don't want to die. Okay, are you good? Cool. Make sure you don't actually ingest it because then you'll die and I'll be alone. Okay, you good? ASMR. Anyway, so they like chew it, put it in their mouth, and all of a sudden, Capital's like,
We have changed our minds. Spit it out! You'll both live!
then they spat out the little whatevers that they were chewing up, and they both won. Their minds to be a genius in this world. And yeah, so they won, and it was amazing, and I was like, wow. So the rest of the story is just us, like, going back with them and finding out that Peeta thinks that Katniss was low-key acting for the cameras. Honey, you felt that kiss in your bones. Stop lying. And Katniss is, like, worried about going back home because Gale probably saw her making out with Peeta, and I'm like, who cares about Gale? No, we don't care. We stand Keeta. That's what I thought. And the story ends with Cinna. Was this how the story ended? I don't know. But the very last thing that I fully remember was Cinna kind of like suggesting that things were not over. And I was like, what? And it's really weird because I ended up with the story like giving me these really scared vibes about what could possibly happen in this world. But then at the same time, I felt extremely comforted that if anything was going to happen, I could do a thing or two. I might not be able to do some boat, whatever, archery, but I could do a thing or two. Maybe a thing, maybe not two things, a thing. One singular thing. I could do one singular thing. Susan. Wow, Suzanne Collins snatched my wig. I give that book 5 stars, no question about it. Everybody who told me The Hunger Games was good was so right. I really loved reading this book. I really feel like I read it for like at the perfect time. I feel like my brain cells really meshed together and I was like, wow, it will always be relevant. And in closing, I read The Hunger Games for the first time. Will I be reading the next book? Yeah. We ready. Please, I'm just kidding. We're not ready. Please. I do not want to survive. I do not want to suffer in the Hunger Games, the Hella Games, the Coachella Games. Because we all know if the Hunger Games was to happen, it probably happened in Coachella Valley. But yeah, anyways, I read the Hunger Games for the first time. It was a magical experience. I loved it. And I will be reading the next one and the one after that. So if you are interested in that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And watch another video. Check it out. Enjoy yourself. Have some fun. And also, I want to go eat because I haven't eaten. Bye.